down the stretch. Long season, last regular season weekend coming up. So looking forward to uh, for two more matches and hopefully keeping some momentum going before we head into the tournament.
From the start of the year, always the talk is to keep improving, making steps forward each week. Do you think you've done the level of improvement you were hoping to now as you get to one last step before the tournament?
I don't think you're ever going to find a coach out there that says, "Hey, we're absolutely totally happy with the level of improvement," because I think you always feel like you can squeeze more out of each player and your team and us as coaches but I think we continue to head in the right direction. It's I thought our left sides were really good this weekend. I thought they've been better. They were better than what they've maybe what they've been the previous few weeks. I think Sid continues to get better and better and more confident and in her decision making and her range. It's I see a variety of areas that we're getting better, but I still think there's quite a few things we can continue to get better at. But I think our team is getting more confident as we're going. We're feeling more comfortable in these back against the wall scenarios, or when things are kind of tight or another team is kind of making a charge. We seem to be a little bit more comfortable in that environment and confident in ourselves of being able to close that out. And that's there might not be anything more important heading into the tournament than that element right there.
You mentioned Sid, and I know you give an award out at the end of the year, so you don't have to tip your hand, but are there players that you would think would be the top of your head about most improved from the start of the year to now that have jumped out at you?
I don't know. It's you get me to think about awards. It's so far a bit. Let's talk about her. I think she's done a fabulous job with her improvement. She's done a great job. You look at the top of our league. Whether it's Minnesota, whether it's Illinois, whether it's Penn State. These are all teams that have senior setters on there, and that's that position. It's very, very difficult for younger players to come in and get your team humming at a very high level offensively. And I think Sid's done a really good job. Regardless of her age, I think she's done a really good job and continues to get better at a difficult, challenging position. I think she's. I think anybody that watches, it's clear to see how much better that she has gotten in the college game from her freshman year to her sophomore year. And I thought she did a really good job last year. But she's putting her headers in really good positions. She's expanding her range. I thought this weekend, I thought she did as good of a job reading what the blockers were doing as what she's probably done in her career. And that's an area that she keeps developing. So, I like the direction that she's heading blocking wise. It's not quite the Swiss cheese that it was earlier in her career when people were attacking against her. So, teams continue. The hitting percentage against her continues to get lower as we go along, and I think that's a credit to how important it is to become a really good blocker, and that's something that she's really worked hard on.
Your recruiting class came out last week, and they all signed. And your comments about it. There was one player who was not part of that group from Sheboygan, and she made some kind of pointed comments about your program and your girls. I don't know if you are able to have a reaction to that.
We get on the plane from after the Maryland match, and apparently that popped up on one of the players' Google alerts. And so the entire team read that article and then, passed that on to me. That was, it was disappointing. It was disappointing to see. And, certainly we we can't talk about players that haven't signed here, and but it's a I as especially when you build a relationship with players over a few years, those are difficult things. But us as coaches, we've got difficult decisions to make, and we've got to hold up our end of the bargain, when we're talking with players and we're talking with their families of how we're going to go about things throughout their career. We're going to challenge them. We're going to care about them more as a person than as a volleyball player. The expectations are going to be high, and there's certain fits for our program and for every other program. But you've got to go about things the right way to be a part of this. And so, we're going to love you, but you're not always going to like what you hear from us, but we're going to have your best interest in heart. And players have a responsibility as well as they're going through, after they commit and all the way through here. They've got to treat people the right way. They've got to continue to get better. They've got to go about things the right way academically and off the court. And so it's kind of a two-way street of going about things a certain way. And if I think people can make some errors, but you make too many, and it's better for probably for everybody to go your separate directions. And so, as coaches, it's really hard for us to pull offers from people. That's not something that we don't take enjoyment out of that. Matter of fact, I think I don't think before this year I've ever done that in my entire career to somebody that's committed to us, but. It's you've got to go about things the right way. This is when you come and represent this university, this is an important deal, and so some tough decisions are going to be made. But regardless of that, one of the things that I think that you get a lot of enjoyment from players is as they get better and mature and grow. You look at a player like Molly Haggerty on our team that has made some mistakes. She didn't academically wasn't in the best standing coming in here, but looked herself in the mirror and said, "Hey, I've got to make some changes," and she did. And academically, she's really thriving real well. And with some other things that she's looked at the mirror and said, "Hey, I've got to change." Kelly Bates, that certainly is, had the ability of looking herself in the mirror and saying, "Hey, I've got to make some changes," and own that. And you're really, really proud of those types of people that are able to, when you're trying to help them out, and they're able to look at themselves and make those types of changes. Anne-Marie Hickey, who's on our staff right now, goes into her senior year, and the same thing of being able to say, "Hey, this is on me, and I'm going to go about things in a different way." And then when they succeed, as a coach, there isn't anything that's more enjoyable. When people take personal responsibility and grow and mature, it's one of the real joys in coaching. And so, but unfortunately, not everybody goes about that way, and we can't really control what people are saying. But the recruiting class itself, I couldn't be more excited about. We saw Courtney Gorham. She was at the Maryland match, and my goodness, she's going to be just an incredible player for us. And on down the line, I'm so excited about Izzy and Liz and Anna. These are really driven, committed athletes that got an unbelievable future in front of them, great support system around them. And so I'm really, really excited about what we've got coming in.
I know you're going to focus on Rutgers. Penn State, is it typical Penn State?
Their talent level, yes. They've done a really good job of combining. They've got three seniors on their team, which is probably out of the top half of the conference. They've got more older players, in that senior class than anybody has. But they've also have a lot of really young players that have big roles for them. So they've done a really good job of mixing that senior class with a lot of these younger players. But it's so that standpoint, they're a little bit different because they've got so many new names on there, new faces in there. But it's the same talent. It's a little bit odd to play. We'll be playing our 20th match, and it'll be the first time we play an opponent, which is a little bit odd scheduling quirk. But they're really good. They've progressed real well throughout the season. They're as physical as what you'd expect out of a Penn State team. Up at the net, they go hard in the backcourt. They serve tough. They're legit. They continue to get better. They're going to be one of those teams that are going to have a say as we head down to the stretch. So it's new names, new faces, and some key positions. But, it seems to be very similar Penn State squad.